Bear down, Chicago Bears. We're going to look today at the offense and what it looks like in 2024 versus what it looked like in 2023. And I think you'll probably agree with me that this is a much improved offense. I think overall, we've got more depth at the positions. We've got a bit more skill at the positions. In some places, we have an alarming amount of increased skill at some positions. So if you like this type of content, make sure you hit the like button, subscribe button, the bell to be notified of future content. And as of today, this is March 16. We're broadcasting live at 9:30. Broadcasting. I don't even know if we say that anymore. We're interneting or YouTubing at 9:30 a.m. Chicago time, because do we even really call it CST? Come on, Chicago time. It's 9:30, and guess what? Justin Fields is still QB1 for the Chicago Bears. So there we go. That's where we are. That's what's going on. Do we know that that's going to stay the case? We don't know. We have no idea. And also, I don't know if he's going to be here for it. Might be, maybe not. But Lord Crimson sent me a mock draft. Now, if any of you guys want to do a mock draft, you can pop in to profootballnetwork.com/mock draft. If you are interested, go do a mock draft. We'll pull it up and we'll look at it, and you can let the chat have their way with you, if you will. Go check out what is see how you did. Make your selections on these drafts and let people know what you think. And we'll send it to my email down below, and we'll put it on the screen and we'll figure it out and see whether or not we like it. I'll tell you what I think, and I'm not going to be right all the time. I oh, Young Hustle might have one up. I thought I did yours. I'm pretty sure that I did yours. Um, don't hold me to it, but man, I feel like we did. You may not have been here for it, but I know that we did, because you sent it to. All right, if we didn't, then that's going to be Monday, and when we get done here, we'll find it wherever. Anyway, so as of today, Justin Fields is your starting quarterback, and it's getting very interesting what the Chicago Bears offense looks like going forward. Now, if you guys might notice, because I'm a bit of a baby when it comes down to it, I did put Khalil Herbert as the biggest characters. As one of the biggest characters in here, because I didn't like the fact that DeAndre Swift is kind of replacing him in the lineup. I want to say as the starter, but also if you know to him. And by the way, that's an AI generated picture of Chicago from the Chicago River. It was a wild sort of image that got created. Doesn't look anything like it, by the way. It's wild when you look at the actual picture. How it just. I mean, does it resemble Chicago? I mean, yeah. You know, it's just. I mean, yeah. I mean, kind of. You know what I mean? Just one of those weird pictures where you're looking at it and you're like, well, I mean, I everything in my brain tells me it's Chicago, but that's not Chicago. You know what I mean? And it was and it was a wild the AI generation on it. To get off track for just a second here, said something. I did like football generation. I did like generate a football stadium, generate a football. You can't use Soldier Field, by the way, because it comes out really weird. Because it usually misspells it like Soldier Field, stuff like that. And when it did that, that's why I put Justin in some of the AI generated. But the reason that I'm intrigued by this one was I put generate a football field in Chicago on the Chicago River is what I did. And here, I'll show you. This is what I came up with. This is what it came up with. That's what you're looking at. So this thing has a football field rising up from the Chicago River with a few boats around it. By the way, fantastic. Jesus Christ. How can we not do this? Have a little moat around the field, put some crocodiles in there on the opposite opponent's side, if you will. But they're standing on a pier with AI generated numbers and just a random name at number 52, just kind of staring at the field, and that looks pretty much like a Chicago logo. And I made it surreal so you can see it kind of, it didn't come together and didn't fashion itself as great as it could. But I mean, that actually came out pretty well. So I just covered this up as much as I possibly could to make ta-da. This is the Bears offense in 2024. But let's go check it out. If you like this type of content, make sure you hit the like button, subscribe button, the bell to be notified of future content. Let's kick this thing off. And we're going to start off with the first kind of comparison, if you will. And it was Keenan Allen over Darnell Mooney. And I mean, guys, do you think that is an upgrade? I mean, that's the question that we're all basically asking, right? Was this an upgrade? In 2023, Keenan Allen had 108 receptions for 1,243 yards, averaged 11.5 yards per catch, had 7 touchdowns. And I mean, that's a pretty big. That's a lot compared to Darnell Mooney, 31 receptions, 414 yards, 13.4 yards per reception, and 1 touchdown. I mean, if you consider the production up here, 1,243 yards, 7 touchdowns, 108 receptions versus 31, 414, and 1. That looks like there is an incredible. It looks like an incredible amount of production increase, if you will, for this pairing here. So now we're moving in here with Keenan Allen as our wide receiver 2. I want to say now, I don't know if he ends up in the slot or not like that. I think that kind of resolves itself in the draft, if you will. But for right now, I think this is a good move. This is a move. This is a really good move when it comes down to it. Keenan Allen represents, even if he's in the backside of the prime of his career, Keenan Allen is at this point a significant upgrade over Darnell Mooney. I just want to say that. I think it's really almost no question. What do you guys think in the comment section? Do you think that Keenan is, because I think this is a big upgrade, right? This solves one of the big problems. I mean, the question would be, is this way better? Is Darnell Mooney, I mean, are we underrating him for his production this year? Is that caused by the system wholly, or was there something wrong with Darnell? I feel like this is a massive upgrade. And here's the thing. Keenan, there's video out here everywhere, by the way. I mean, you go to YouTube and but there's plenty of video of Keenan Allen doing separation drills. There's plenty of it watching him do elite route running. There's not the same thing on Darnell Mooney. That could be because of Chicago versus Los Angeles. Maybe somebody's filming it or putting it together, something like that. Maybe they don't have the fan base that does that kind of stuff here in Chicago. But I really feel like if there was a lot of it, then we would have seen it by now from Darnell Mooney. I mean, he's a speed runner, so I do think this is a significant sort of upgrade. This is a really big move. So, but then we have DeAndre Swift. Now, this to me is a controversial one, just because I'm going to say it one more time. I really like Khalil Herbert. I've not been a fan at any time of Khalil Herbert, and I like what he did. And in fact, if you start to pick apart some of the stats, you probably can make an argument that Khalil Herbert was he came out pretty well, all things considered, average wise, et cetera, et cetera. But he was not the workhorse. He was injured, so he's not the workhorse. So now you have DeAndre Swift. DeAndre Swift had 1,000 yards rushing, 4.6 yards per carry, and 5 touchdowns for the Eagles on 22. Oh my God, 229 carries. That makes him the guy. As long as he doesn't come in injured or anything, I mean, he's shown himself to be a starting caliber guy. He's 25 years old. I think this is a big move and look, I fight to say it because I love Khalil Herbert, but DeAndre Swift also caught 39 passes. Now we look at Khalil Herbert, then you see the same sort. You see 20 receptions, you see 600 yards, you see 4.6 yard average. Like I don't know that that's too much of a. Uh, um, he played over half the season, I should say, and he didn't have near the receptions or and he could have, I suppose. I guess that's the point. I like Khalil Herbert, but I mean, what do you guys think? Is this an upgrade? I mean, I think that this is an upgrade, but I don't think that it's. I don't think it's huge. I think it's just kind of sideways, but it's really still intriguing and good to have this kind of guy on the. And by the way, good blocker. Khalil Herbert. I showed a couple times Khalil Herbert picking up 2 blocks at one time. And people were breaking it apart and saying, yeah, you showed that, but you also missed out on a bunch of Khalil Herbert not making blocks. And by the way, once somebody said that, I was like, you know what? Actually, I do remember a lot of Khalil Herbert missed blocks. So maybe this is, after all, an upgrade in that we're getting the same amount of production, but we're getting a much better defender against the pass rush. So this really could be an incredible move right here and an upgrade at the position. And Khalil Herbert's not done. Khalil Herbert could outrun him for the season, in fact. And Roschon Johnson may even step up in a big way. You know what I mean? Like Roschon Johnson in half the time had. And by the way, it should be noted that between Khalil Herbert and Roschon Johnson, the Bears running backs had 60 receptions on the season. Roschon Johnson had as many as Darnell Mooney. So it's but DeAndre Swift represents, I think, a significant upgrade. I mean, you gotta think that, right? And then you have Coleman Shelton over Lucas Patrick. And guys, I feel like it's disrespectful to even say anything bad about Lucas Patrick. In fairness, like, and I don't, nothing. He plays so hard, right? He just wasn't very good when it came down to it. You know what I mean? Like he played hard. So did Dan Feeney, for that matter. So I feel bad because these guys were actually they played hard. They kept their head down. They didn't bitch. But he sucked. Like he really wasn't that good. He's not gonna. He's not. He's just not the greatest. But Coleman Shelton actually checks in as a much better overall representation. I did the stats, by the way. I'm gonna tell you a story. I did it on Madden yesterday. Lucas Patrick came in at like a rating, I think of 62 or something like that, and Coleman Shelton came in with a rating of about 73. Coleman Shelton actually came in the guy that we appeared to want for a while. And I don't know if we really wanted him. We just wanted the best center available, and that best center available other than Connor Williams was Lloyd Cushenberry. And Lloyd Cushenberry and Coleman Shelton actually rated out about the same. So I think that we have an upgrade at the center position. And by the way, you look up Lucas Patrick and you see snap problems. You don't see the same thing with Coleman Shelton. So I think that represents a significant upgrade and a significant move. So shout out, leave a comment if you think that this is an upgrade, because I think it's a tremendous upgrade. Here is where it gets really interesting, though. Here's the this is the wild one. Did you know that Cody Whitehair was one of the best guards last year, even though he had limited playing time because he was playing as a spot relief with Tevin Jenkins and Nate Davis, and he was barely playing center, remember. But here's the thing. Cody Whitehair represented what ended up being an elite guard in the league last year. So he's not worth what he was being paid. Like, I want to say it was a pretty big amount. So bringing in Ryan Bates is kind of a lateral move, but it saves on payroll, if you will, because you save a lot of money by moving on from Cody Whitehair, and you got somebody like Ryan Bates who came in for a couple million, pretty cheap. And by the way, Jay Grizz says would love to get Van Pran. I think we actually, I think in my drafts most of the time, I'm allowing that the top 3 centers are big moves. But wait until you see my draft today, because I solved the center position because that was one of my focus. Ryan Poles, to his credit, guys, I think it should be said at this point. A couple days ago, we were looking at Ryan Poles' madness, his insanity, what he was doing, and thinking like, God damn, like, what is this guy doing? Like, is there's something wrong here? Like, this is not happening. The this is not the draft we were looking for. We wanted that big splash. We wanted that guy. You know what I mean? And what do we get? Kevin Byard. What do we get? Traverse Moore. We started to pick up these guys that were not like the big splash guys. And then 2 days ago, we're looking at like, man, this is an underwhelming sort of draft. There is no path forward to do anything but hold on to Justin Fields, because you can't put like Caleb Williams would have nobody to throw to other than DJ Moore and Cole Kmet, and that's not an upgrade. And when you bring in the rookies, like even if you bring in Marvin Harrison Jr., you look at it on the surface and you're like, God damn. So what we were doing is we were evaluating the painting, and he hadn't even finished with the canvas yet. So then you see the trade that represents Keenan Allen. That Keenan Allen trade comes in big time. And here's the other part that I want to say to this. Fundamentally, to me, yesterday, I thought about it and I said, you know what? This actually changes things, and it makes Justin Fields more replaceable, in my opinion, because that puts the onus back on the quarterback position. But then I realized, Keenan Allen's in the final year of his contract and refused to take a pay cut. So then the question becomes, well, what is Keenan Allen's market value for the Bears after the year 2024, right? Well, in 2025, 2026 on the back end, he would probably get Mike Evans type money. Now, Mike Evans got $26 million for 2 seasons with Tampa Bay. Would you give the same thing to Keenan Allen? Well, he's worth it because he performs at the same level. But here's the other part. Lord Crimson, we got your mock draft. It's coming up a little bit later on. But if you look at it, Keenan Allen, I think, is only here for 1 year and then he's gone. I think this is, I think because you gave up a 4th round pick, I don't think it's worth it to hold on to him at 20 something million. So the thing is, I fundamentally yesterday, I thought, well, now we got Keenan Allen. This changes the draft dramatically. No, it doesn't. As a matter of fact, what we did is we know DJ Moore is going to be here for a few more years. Keenan Allen's going to be here at least next year. Now it's time to bring in an elite receiver who can learn from 2 of the best in the sport right now that are doing it. So it makes it more imperative, in my opinion, that you bring in Marvin Harrison, Rome Odunze, Malik Neighbors, not in that order, by the way. It's Marvin Harrison, the end for me. But in the event that we decide we're going to whiff on that and we're going to miss that softball, then it's got to be Malik Neighbors to me. But Rome Odunze, it's very difficult. These 3 guys are incredibly elite wide receivers. So you got to bring somebody in as that replacement. I still leave it for me as Marvin Harrison Jr. I find my way to trade down and do that every single time I get into my draft. So, shout out to for for Ryan Poles making this move over Cody Whitehair. I think that it's a good move. And then this one is gigantic, guys. I think this one is the most underrated move in all of this, other than the Keenan Allen thing, even though I didn't put them in any order. But Gerald Everett over Mercedes Lewis. And Mercedes Lewis is one of the best run blocking tight ends in the league and probably in history, but he's not a huge threat at catching the ball. He had a few receptions over the last year. So we'll pop this up on the screen here. And you can see that Gerald Everett represents a significant sort of upgrade over Mercedes Lewis when you're looking at it statistically, okay? Because you've got Gerald Everett over here with somewhere in the neighborhood of 50 receptions every year for the last 3 years and around 500 yards of production. And the important part, 3 or 4 touchdowns here. So he's actually got some red zone. This guy gets open in the red zone, and that's huge. And that was a problem, by the way. That is a problem and has been a problem at having another option. Cole Kmet gets open in the end zone. DJ Moore gets open in the end zone. That's it for the Bears. You should be able to create separation. Well, now on this team this year, DJ Moore gets separation in the red zone. Cole Kmet, separation in the red zone. Gerald Everett, separation in the red zone. Keenan Allen, separation in the red zone. Marvin Harrison Jr., dare I say it, separation in the red zone. I don't know that one to be the case yet, but I mean, you come back over here and you look at the career of Mercedes Lewis. 40 touchdowns, but, not really lighting it on fire other than 2010 in Jacksonville when he had his best season by far, right? So from there, you come back over and you look at Gerald Everett, and he's been in the league far less time, but he still has half the touchdowns, and as far as yardage goes, over half. Like he is a significant and represents a significant upgrade starting to come into his own in this league. So this is a big, big, big and dynamic move that the Bears have made in this position. And by the way, this is not really a replacement of Mercedes Lewis. Mercedes, I thought he was going to retire a Chicago Bear. I think that he'll resign as a backup. He's not looking for starter money. He's looking to help a team. You know what I mean? He took $1 million last year, probably takes another $1 million or something like that this year. Mercedes Lewis probably comes back, but Gerald becomes the starter, and this team gets way better as a result of that, at least in the option of the offensive scheme of things, moving away a little bit from the run game, at least in this context, right? And Jeff Schultz says, Keenan Allen teasing a contract extension. Guys, let me tell you, I think it was fantastic. Keenan Allen gets off the plane. Like, what are you looking most forward to about playing for Chicago? Who are you looking to, who is the player that you're looking to play with the most in Chicago? He said Justin Fields without question. Like he didn't go play the game. He didn't go, I don't care which quarterback it is. It might be, it could be Caleb or I'm just happy to be here. He walked up to the camera, he put the mic, and he was like, excuse me, is this thing on? Justin Fields, biatch, and went on his way. That's fantastic because that's letting people know. That's letting the people know who he thinks should be the quarterback. That's fantastic, right? Even if, and look, you look at famous players, you look at a lot of different things that are happening in the league right now. And you look at, what was Donovan McNabb the other day? Was like, come on. You know what I mean? Like, come on. It's got to be, it's got to be this guy, right? You have this the other day, right? Then you got, and this is a perfect illustration, guys. I can't do this any better than this guy did it. So why try? Future Hall of Fame wide receiver Tyreek Hill. Justin Fields is a great quarterback. Superstar wide receiver DJ Moore. Justin Fields is a great quarterback. Former NFL MVP Cam Newton. Justin Fields is a great quarterback. Leonidas on YouTube. Justin Fields is trash. You know what I mean? So believe the greats. Don't believe Johnny. Let's call him Leonidas 256727. You know what I mean? You guys know what I mean. But we have a lot of people here who are Justin Fields haters, and then we have a bunch of people who play the game, who actually play the game, who are like, no, this dude is legit, right? So I would like to see something like that be, happen and be. I would like us to move past. I would like us to move past Caleb Williams. That's all I'm saying. Not that I don't appreciate and value the fact that he might have a great career. He might have a great career. I'm not saying he could have a better career than Justin Fields when it's all done. And guess what? I don't care, because what it is and what this is about the city of Chicago and what best represents the city of Chicago. And Josh Gabriel, to his credit, came out and had an interview on Adam and John's and said that there are some things. Was it Josh Gabriel? Or is it Lucas? Maybe that's it. Anyway, he was on. Here we go. This came out. They were talking about Caleb Williams one more time, of course. And Josh Lucas said, there's a handful of things that I've heard that would scare the shit out of me when it comes to Caleb Williams. And he's not calling out Caleb Williams and saying anything inherently bad. It's not his place to do that. What he's doing is just telling you that there's stuff out there that has to be properly vetted, and he doesn't really know. But he keeps hearing a lot of different things that are to the negative about Caleb Williams, and that defies the media narrative, right? So, this is until that gets resolved, in my opinion, that then clearly Justin Fields is that person. And in the event that the Bears look at Caleb Williams, they look at Justin Fields and they say, hey, we really like just Caleb Williams. We want to take that shot right there because of the money thing. I mean, at least there we go. I mean, that's the thing. And then Vizzo Joe, by the way, is one of those. This is a rarity right here. Just because I prefer Caleb doesn't mean I hate Fields. I've rooted hard for him and spent thousands of dollars on merch because this is about what's best for the Chicago Bears. And this right here should be the attitude that everybody has. And of course, it's a free country. I'm not telling you what your attitude should be, but this is the best. This is a fan who loves the Chicago Bears. Like I keep telling you guys, Justin Fields is my guy, but if Caleb Williams is the quarterback, I'm buying Caleb jerseys. I'll buy a 13 jersey, but I'm putting Bleeves on the back because 13 was my number 2. So, Caleb doesn't get that. But the thing is, that this is a fascinating time to be a Chicago Bears fan because, guys, we are on the cusp of something big. Now, the question, of course, remains: is it Justin or Caleb? And today's move, not that today's move or the last couple of days' moves have really fundamentally changed it, but this is just my opinion. And my opinion is that we've gone from Justin to Caleb and now back to Justin on things that have been done, moves that have been made, et cetera, et cetera. And if you go look at some of the the mock drafts that are coming out now, you're starting to see they're just flinchingly choosing Caleb now. They're like, because it's the best goddamn option. You know what I mean? Like they're getting mad over it. But then other people are recognizing, they're really not looking to move on. And by the way, there was a report that the Eagles reached out before they made a trade yesterday for Kenny Pickett. Let's see, Kenny Pickett. We got this report that came out yesterday from the Steelers. Okay, now the Steelers have been pretty tight on this whole thing, but it says Eagles made a failed trade attempt for Justin Fields and then pivoted to Kenny afterwards. They don't say what the Eagles, from what I understand, were one of the teams that had talked to the Bears about Justin Fields, but obviously could not get to a point where there was a price agreement. So they traded for Pickett. And that, by the way, is just a cool way of saying we don't know what the Chicago Bears wanted for Justin Fields, but they're willing to hold on to him unless they get a gigantic amount of compensation, right? So there's some value there. And if the rest of the league is not seeing it, that might be a testament to why, he may stay. So that is, it's a weird thing, right? And Michael H says, I'm just being honest. If they keep Justin Fields, I will be here to remind everyone after all his many failures. And and here's the thing: you should, if you are a Chicago Bears fan, you should point out that there are plenty of mistakes in Justin Fields' game. You should be able to express that. However, here's the other part. I don't think they're as pronounced with Justin personally, Michael, that I don't think they're as personally pronounced as some other people do, because a lot of people just want to blame everything on Justin and say that they want to say, well, yeah, he's the one that did it. And I really think that it takes a lot of people doing shit wrong to screw up a quarterback like Justin Fields. I just want to say that 3 offensive coordinators in 3 seasons. You don't have a chance to get comfortable. You get a chance to, you're trying to learn a system, and the system is designed for somebody other than you. The system is designed for who that person wants to be their quarterback, not that person who is their quarterback. And I hope that makes sense. I think Luke Getsy is a fine offensive coordinator who's going to be great for a guy who can't run, who just drops back and throws the ball. And again, you can like that about your quarterback. I like the fact that Justin Fields can run the ball. I like the fact that he's a danger. I think that he's a threat. in that system. And I think that he makes enough of the plays, or can make enough of the plays, that he's a serviceable. I don't want to say he's an elite and the greatest quarterback ever. He's a Chicago quarterback. He's tough as nails. He fights for yardage. He fights every play. He wants to win. He has passion. He is that guy. This guy. If I were to create a prototypical quarterback for the city of Chicago, and I put the heart of Chicago into that person's chest, it would be the chest of Justin Fields. That's all I'm saying. Like he has represented exactly the type of fighting spirit that a quarterback needs in Chicago. Now the problem is I don't think he's been served very well by the team so far. The defense, we have to go back and we have to look at Justin Fields, and can we find the flaws? Yes, but can we also look at losing at having 38 points scored on us by Green Bay in the first game, or 41 points scored on us in the third game or something like that, or having 31 scored on us in the third game against the worst team in the league at that point, the Denver Broncos, and we can go down the list. 31 points against Detroit when we had that game. You know what I mean? Like there are 30 points to the Los Angeles Chargers. And look, you got to be able to hold a team to 21 and under to give your team a chance, right? You need to stop them at basically what you want is you don't want to give up more than 2 touchdowns, 2 field goals per game, 20 points. There you go. And you want, anything under that, and the defense is winning. And that's not what's happening, or not what happened with the Chicago Bears to start the season. And that created a problem. And that problem continued to manifest itself by the fact that our options were Darnell Mooney. And Darnell Mooney, to his credit, put in a lot of work in the offseason so that he could be that Z receiver instead of that slot receiver, but he's just not cut out for the position. If Darnell Mooney is in that slot position, and by the way, Tyler Scott also was not, he was not ready for that Z position either. So you had no wide receivers who were creating space, getting open, creating, and then you had you had an offensive coordinator who was assuming that his offensive line was better than it was. I mean, Larry Borum is like a sieve trying to stop water, right? He really was not very good to start the season. And of course, the center position was a disaster for a long period of time. Now, those things create a problem. Now, when Justin holds the ball, when he takes off and he's trying to create and he's trying to move around to find a receiver and stuff like that, but the receivers haven't even turned around yet, because they're still running long ass routes that Luke Getsy designed while Justin's in the back running for his life. Guys, that's stupid. That's stupid. There should have been more outlet plays. And when we got to the second half of the season, and there were more outlet plays, and look, I'm not defending a bunch of screen passes, but there were outlet plays that didn't previously exist. Cole Kmet started to step up big time. There were as the offense started to gel in some way, then we found out that we're just calling bad plays, and we still called bad plays. I mean, guys, I want to say this, and I know some of you know this. If you watch me, you know, because I keep saying it, right? Justin Fields was 6 of 6 to start off the Green Bay game in the finale that we lost. I want to say it was 17-9. Justin Fields started off 6 of 6. Now, we start off 6 of 6, then we're throwing the ball, right? We're just mixing it up. We're using play action. We're using everything at our disposal to get that ball in the air because Justin Fields is feeling it, right? Well, for the rest of the game, for 3 quarters, Justin Fields then threw the ball 10 more times. That was it. He only threw the ball 10 times. Let me go back here. He was 6 of 6, and then he threw the ball 10 more times the entire game. Now, whose fault is that? Justin Fields, who doesn't just audibled out of every pass play in order to run it more. That's bullshit. No, that was Luke Getsy calling some bad plays. That was Luke Getsy calling bad plays. That was crazy that happened. So that's the problem, right? So here we are. Guys, I want you to consider at least, because I think it's important, right? When you look at the Chicago Bears schedule and you look at what could have been as opposed to what was, when you really kind of break down, what it looked like for the Chicago Bears in 2023, then I really think that the Bears could have. Um, I mean, you know what? Let's just pull it up and look. Let's just pull it up and look. Green Bay Packers, they lost 38-20 in a game that just got out of hand, right? But then they lost 27 points. I forgot the 27 points that they gave up to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So in this 38 points, 27 points. This is the first 4 weeks of the season. 41 points and 31 points. Let me go back here. 38, 27. That's 65. And then 41. That's 106. And then 31. That's 137. So in 4 games, they gave up 137 points. That's almost 35 points a game that they were giving up. And you're blaming the quarterback. The quarterback who, and by the way, it is fair to say that against one of the best defenses, the Bears have to be better, right? And they only scored 10 points. But against the Broncos, they had 4 touchdowns. They scored 28 points. Against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, you should be able to be close to winning a game with 17 points right there. You should be able to do more than 17, and you should be able to hold the team to less than 27, especially Tampa Bay, who was not balling it out. And then more than 20 points against the Green Bay Packers. But the Green Bay Packers defense, I mean, maybe they stepped up. But then you come out and you get your first win, 40-20. But then you come back and you lose to the Minnesota Vikings. Now your defense finally giving up less than 20 points, but you only score 13. I mean, again, is this Justin? Is this, what is it that's causing this breakdown? And listen, if you were watching Twitter, you can blame Justin Fields, but the coaching, you saw the plays on the field. And if you didn't, go back and watch, don't do yourself the favor of going back and watching Bears games. I'm sure most of you keep it on your DVR anyway, as required by law. So go back and watch them. I mean, I'm not making it up. You look at these plays and you're like, who's calling the goddamn plays? Like, you should, why? And believe me, you're going to do that. You're going to do it over and over again. Then you come in with the big win against the Raiders. Then you just get smashed by the Chargers. Again, a decent defense holds the Bears. And look, it's play calling. It's having the depth on the roster to do something. And you have the Saints. You lose there. Then you have the Carolina Panthers. And I think this was that was Tyson Bagent right at that point. Then week 11, here we go. This is and this is Justin's back. Here we go. 26-14. We're winning 26-14. 4 minutes and 54 seconds left. And then somehow we give up 17 points ish in the last 4 minutes of a game. What the absolute F is going on here? And then with the game on the line, this is where when you have problems with Justin Fields, when you have this is where you see the problem manifest itself. First play after the Bears get the ball when they're down and they got to score. First play, front side rusher comes in, sacks Justin Fields. He fumbles the ball, and they kick the ball out of the end zone. Or I think it might have been Lucas Patrick kicks it out of the end zone. Or Tevin Jenkins, just to kind of keep them from falling on it for a touchdown. But of course, what's that? That's a safety. And then what happens? Detroit gets the ball back. So that's the end of the game right there. Like, it's just in a travesty. And that is some garbage bullshit. That is not good. So, we do have to recognize that falls on Justin Fields to be able to recognize that kind of rush. You know what I mean? Right in his face. And he still didn't recognize it. So then you move on to Minnesota, and this is a testament to what happens at Minnesota. You win 12-10 in something that it was a slug the last time, right? But you found a way to win in your second go around. Well, then you get a bye week, and you come back to Detroit, and you absolutely annihilate Detroit, as you should have. As you should have. Going back here, should have won in New Orleans, by the way. I do, in my opinion, let me rephrase that. Should have won in Minnesota, should have won in New Orleans at this point, and should have won in Detroit. That's 3 extra wins right there. And look, those 3 extra wins, here's what I want to say. Those 3 extra wins are the difference between us in the playoffs and Green Bay in the playoffs. The end. Those 3 right there, that's the difference between the playoffs and why they were in the playoffs and we were not. And you got to win those games, right? But then you take it a little bit further and you lose in Cleveland to the best defense in the league. Allegedly, rankings are subjective, but you scored 17 points against the best defense. You just had 20 scored against you in a game. Again, you should have won, but it was the worst defense, but it was the best defense in the league, and they had Justin's number. And why do they have Justin's number? Well, because somebody else is calling the plays, and that person is Luke Getsy. Then you have the Arizona Cardinals, big win. Then you have the Falcons, big win. Then you go into Lambeau against the Green Bay Packers, and then you don't throw the ball. What is going on? Well, you don't throw the ball. That was bonkers. Okay, that was absolutely crazy. And then here's the worst part. The worst part is you had 3 preseason games, and you look good in the preseason games when you're playing. For some reason, the Bears got real comfortable with what was happening in the preseason, saying, "Oh, you know what? We're scoring some points. We're doing the play. We're doing it. We're going through our motions, et cetera, et cetera." The team wasn't gelling because it wasn't working together, and it wasn't ready to win. So. But I mean, that's crazy, right? I mean, we should at least be able to acknowledge that shit is kind of crazy, right? So the debate remains for most of us for now about is it going to be Caleb? Is it going to be Justin? Who is the quarterback? And we don't have the clarity of that answer at this point. So I mean, we'll see. We'll see who is the guy pretty soon. I mean, it's not going to take forever. It will not take forever. And as a matter of fact, I am dragging. By the way, I'm kind of dragging this for a minute here because I'm trying to pull something up for you guys, just so you can see the statistics. I mean, just so you can, because God damn it, like you're going to be infuriated. Here it is. I said this, and now I just wanted to point this out. Jordan Love was 27 of 32, and his QBR was 128.6. Justin Fields did not have a horrible game, but I mean, look at this. He only threw the ball 16 times. They ran the ball 26 times, like 26 times, right? They ran far fewer plays than the Green Bay Packers. The Green Bay Packers controlled the clock, and they controlled it on the defense, our defense that was supposed to be elite, and stop those kind of things from happening. We didn't do that. Aaron Jones just really got off. Had a great running game. Averaged 5 yards. Bo Melton averaged 7 yards on a couple carries, but 27 of 124, 4.6. Bears 25 of 75 for 3 yards. The running game is not working. The passing game is working. What do? Let's just keep running. And then how many sacks? 5 sacks. Now, why is it 5 sacks? Well, that's the offensive line. The offensive line that some people who like Caleb Williams are like, well, it's not that bad. Look, some of these things are the problem of the quarterback. They are. So Justin Fields has to have some blame, but there also has to be some situation where the team isn't to blame for the entire thing. And again, I go back here, the 3 wins here. This is 7-10 versus 9-8. Those other 3 games are wins. And guess what? Chicago Bears are in the playoffs, not the Green Bay Packers, no matter how this game ended. It doesn't matter how the game ended. That would have been, you know what I mean? Like that would have been that would have been the game. That would have been the game. So I don't mean for this to frustrate me the way that it does, but it just pisses me off that when we see stuff like that. So by the way, and so finally, now let's move on. This is what it looks like for the team. This is the offense right now that we're going to be looking at coming out. Now, if you haven't tuned in before, then know that I have 12 players on the field, and I can do that because I'm the coach of this league. So I can do whatever I need to do for this particular field right here. So what I've done in this is our offensive line hasn't changed fundamentally, except for Coleman Shelton is now the center. So Braxton Jones, I guess, by the way, most people, whoever talks about Braxton Jones, by the way, they keep pointing out how much he's improved and how he's becoming an elite left tackle. He just hasn't had that, he was injured at the beginning of the season. Took him a long time to get back in, and then boom. Now, here we are. So Coleman Shelton comes in as the center. That's the first big change. Does it strengthen the line or does it make the line lesser? It strengthens the line, okay? Coleman Shelton actually gives us a better, again, statistically and everything, a much better center than we had in Lucas Patrick or Dan Feeney. Again, both of these guys are hard workers. Both of those guys are tough as nails. We were the number one rushing team for a reason. These guys are not incapable. They're just not great run blockers. That was all it was. So here we are with an elite running team and just not catching it or not catching fire, if you will, where we needed to. So whatever. But now move on. I put slot MHJ, Marvin Harrison Jr., into that slot because I'm just assuming like it's got to be manifest destiny that we're going to get Marvin Harrison Jr. Like, we're not idiots, are we? I mean, like, it's got to be Marvin Harrison Jr., or at least in my opinion, because now we got Keenan Allen as the Z receiver, and Marvin Harrison plays the slot for one season to learn the ropes, to learn the game. He has the ability to be a slot receiver, even though he's probably an X or a Z, no matter what. But you know, he's a fantastic talent, so we'll see. But Keenan Allen, significant upgrade to Darnell Mooney. You know what I'm saying? And yes, Nate Davis. I think he had a great look. This line, I love this line. I really do. I know that they're flawed. I know that Braxton Jones is not the greatest, but nobody's ever the greatest. It's a matter of working together for a period of time and coming together and coalescing into a team. And I don't think that they were able to do that because Larry Borum played too much at the beginning and he was horrible. And then Cody Whitehair had a spell where he was playing center because Lucas Patrick was injured. And there was a lot of different pieces at the early part of the season just did not work. Now, moving on to tight ends, however, now we have Cole Kmet and Gerald Everett. And this is an elite squad right here. And then the slot MHJ, like it's basically running a rotation of 3 wide receiver, 1 tight end sets, and then 2 and 2 sets, which is going to be incredible. And then when you have then here's the thing. This is where it gets really interesting, by the way. When you have no running back in the backfield and you're on obvious passing play, and you have a 5 wide receiver set, you have Cole Kmet, Gerald Everett, DJ Moore, Keenan Allen. It doesn't even matter who the slot receiver is at that point. I want you to listen to that one more time. You have DJ Moore and Keenan Allen and Cole Kmet and Gerald Everett as your options. That's way different. That is way different. Vastly different than what you thought you had in a team last year. Because your other guys, and I feel like I feel like you guys should know that it's disrespectful for me to even say these names in comparison. But I don't. There's no other way to describe it. It was that Tyler Scott and Darnell Mooney were an inferior pairing, along with Mercedes Lewis at the tight end position, to the passing game. Mercedes Lewis, monster in the running game. Very, very good guy, right? I mean, we like Mercedes Lewis, but that's your run game guy. He doesn't catch too many passes. Gerald Everett, on the other hand, he's there for those catches, and he also is a legitimate blocker. So this team, vastly superior to what we had last season. That's all I'm saying. Like, this is a vastly superior team to last season. And then, of course, we have Matt Pryor at the tackle position as opposed to Larry Borum in case something happens to Braxton Jones or Darnell Wright. And I think that Matt Pryor probably ends up being a better option. And then you've got Ryan Bates subbing in at the guard and center position. That's a significant upgrade to Cody Whitehair. Again, I think they graded out, by the way. Again, I want to say this. Cody Whitehair actually graded out very, very well in pass protection and run blocking last year. But, he was needed at center, and he wasn't a good center. He's just not a good center. And that created a problem. And he was paid enough money that, it just didn't work out, I guess. So now this situation, I think, works out way, way better. And now that we've done this, we're going to leave that for the defensive roster for another time. And this, for you guys that want to know, this is Lord Crimson. Lord Crimson is a member of the chat here, always around. By the way, if any of you guys want to, you can subscribe up for memberships here. Help me out. But I think it's only $4.99 a month or something like that. And if it is, and I could change it to like $3 or something like that. But it helps support the channel, basically. Anyway, so he traded. Look at every single one of these positions, by the way. Every single one of Lord Crimson's moves was a trade in some way. He got out of every single position that the Bears were in. Only 4 draft picks, obviously, remember that. But you see that he traded down to the number 3, and at the number 3 position, he took Joe Alt, which is, I assume that that's the replacement for Braxton Jones. It makes the most sense that that's who you'd be looking for. So moving on, we're going to Joe Alt. Then you take the number 15 position, that's dropping down from number 9, and you're taking Jackson Powers Johnson. So you've just solved your offensive line in the event that you still had some questions about the offensive line. There you go. You've turned it into a more potentially elite offensive line, and neither one of those guys have to start right away. They can be spot relief until they work their way into the lineups, and they free up some of your. Again, you can just release Larry Borum. If you did this move. And you become it becomes addition by subtraction at that point. But then you got Jackson Powers Johnson, another big move, another big get, the best center in the draft, best center in the last bunch of years, I'm told. And then at number 40, you got Tyler Nubin, which is probably, if not the best, the second best safety coming out right now. And now for me, I stopped taking safeties because the safety room is full. Somebody's going to have to disappear from that room, and I don't know who it is at this point, but we just brought in everybody. So I would, but Tyler Nubin represents a good prospective talent. Probably sees the field a lot during the first season. Number 46, edge rusher Darius Robinson. Now you guys might know I am a maxi on Darius Robinson. He has the physical tools to be an elite edge rusher in this league. Cooper Beebe from Kansas State comes in at number 49 at the offensive guard as a backup. Again, we're just beefing up these lines and creating more opportunity to spell relief and to improve and create a much deeper rotation. And you know what that does? The fourth quarter becomes a lot easier when you have talent that rotates its way in and out of the lineup every single time. Then you're fresh at the end of the year. And then another one who is one of my favorites, Michael Hall Jr. at the defensive tackle position. And that's just because, by the way, I like saying MHJ2 on my sheet over here on the defensive roster. I have no filter. I don't give a shit. Michael Hall Jr. And Marvin Harrison Jr. are MHJ1 and MHJ2. You know what I mean? So then we got Ben Sinnott, tight end from Kansas State. I think Gerald Everett, by the way, is in for a 1-year contract. A lot of these guys we're in win now mode, in case you guys did not notice. This is win right now team. So, you know what I mean? Like that, you do have to consider that, okay? We're in win now mode, and I think that the best option to win right now is Justin Fields. Let's go back and say that one more time. Ben Sinnott, tight end from Kansas State. Xavier Legette, wide receiver, South Carolina. Good get, by the way. I like Xavier Legette. I think he's one of those guys that he's under the radar at this point and still kind of checks all the boxes for a wide receiver in the NFL. Marshawn Lloyd, running back from USC. Now, early on, we were taking Marshawn Lloyd in almost every one of our drafts because he just ended up being one of those guys. But now that we have 3 talented, in my opinion, guys, I don't know that we're going to have a 4th guy on the roster, so I'm not sure how it plays out. But I mean, we got a 99-man roster when we start the season. So we need all the talent we can get coming in here and competing for jobs. This makes the team arguably much better. And then you have punter Troy Taylor at number 234 coming out of Iowa. So there we go. We have the, what do you guys think of this one? That's 10 players. And then here's the other part. We've turned, the Lord Crimson has turned a draft of 4 players into a draft of 10 players. And then he picked up the 2025 New England first round, Washington's 2025 first round, meaning the Bears would have 3 picks in the first round next year. And then the 2025, I get it now. You traded down to the 2, and then you traded down to the 3, and then you traded all. God damn it! Now I get it. Now I see the draft. New England and Washington got their first round picks. Then in 2025 second round, we got Cincinnati second round, New England second round, New Jersey second round, and then New England's third round. And I think, by the way, I think you only have a maximum of 3 selections in the second round and the first round. So you might end up having to trade one of those down. Then you just move it down, one spot and have you trade the last position into the next round. So shout out That's this I really like I really like what you did here, and this is building for the future, guys. This is how you build for the future. You've got an offensive tackle, you've got an offensive center, you've got an offensive guard. You're bringing in the players of the future. You're bringing in what could be an elite safety. You don't know, but you're bringing in a guy who's highly rated. You hope for the best. Darius Robinson. I don't know that he's got the I know that he's got the passion and the drive so far, but does he have the motor to do it on every down? Because he hasn't done it for most of his career until the end of this season. He just went kind of crazy towards the end of the year. So, boom. We'll have 5 or 6 picks trading Justin on draft day. No, absolutely not, dude. Like, I know. Look, I know people are trying to kid themselves at this point. There is no who's going to give 2 draft picks for Justin Fields in this coming draft. I mean, that would be the question. And if it is, they're going to be 6th or 7th round picks, maybe 5th round picks, 4th round picks, something like that. Like, there's no market. So who is it that's going to step in and say, oh, you know what? We need a quarterback. And I'm just asking the question. I'm asking an honest question, because you also have Caleb Williams, who's going to satisfy somebody's need, Drake May, who's going to satisfy somebody's need. You got Jaden Daniels, who's going to satisfy somebody's needs. You got JJ McCarthy, who's going to satisfy somebody's need. You got Michael Penix Jr., who's going to satisfy somebody's needs. Like there's no market for Justin Fields. There really is no market other than the people who really needed quarterbacks in the beginning, and the Bears don't want to listen to anybody. And if the Bears don't want to listen to anybody for that trade value, then the people who had value in Justin Fields, they've already moved on. They learned the LeBron lesson, and I don't know if you guys remember the LeBron lesson, but never trust a guy who says, "Oh, trust me, it's gonna be fine. I'm not leaving. I'm not going anywhere." LeBron lied to Cleveland. Okay, that's all I'm saying. When he went to Miami, by the way, when he took his talents, if you will. And by the way, I lived in Cleveland at the time, so I know I had just moved from Cleveland at the time. I know what I'm talking about. It was not like God damn it. Anyway, so this is his draft. This was a pretty good one. Now we're gonna look at mine. Obviously, Lord Crimson, vastly superior. But anyway, here was my draft. I did not get nearly the haul that I went for. Right again, like my idea here is win right now. So mine was a little bit different here. I went with Marvin Harrison Jr. because I want that slot receiver. I want Marvin Harrison. I want him to be the generational talent. I want him, if Keenan Allen is here for 1 year, if he's here for 3 years, we're going to have an elite group of receivers. And then even if he's gone after that, even if DJ Moore is going to be gone after that, Marvin Harrison's going to be here. And like, oh shit, you know what I mean? And then I also reached out a little bit later and got another wide receiver in the draft as well. But you can see I did the same thing. Other than the 75 and the 122, I did not trade down each and every time. So what I got out of 4 draft picks was Marvin Harrison Jr. at the number 3. And then I traded down to number 2. Then I traded down the 9 pick to the 17 slot, and I got Jackson Powers Johnson. So now the center position would be right there. And then we don't need 3 elite receivers. Jesus fucking Christ. Like, people actually exist, right? Darius Robinson, number 36, edge rusher. And it's crazy. Look, guys, it's crazy to me when you say we don't need 3 elite receivers. That's just what the absolute fuck is going on here. You need as many elite players as you can have on your team. That is nonsense. Anyway, so Marvin Harrison Jr., Jackson Powers Johnson. Then we got Darius Robinson coming in at the edge rusher position. Again, I love the guy. I hope that he ends up being what I think he's going to be, which is a really good defensive edge rusher. Then we move on to number 40, and I pick up another edge rusher because I want the rotation. And, basically Dominique Robinson, you got to go. Save the payroll, bring in Adisa Isaac, let these guys learn the position, let these guys go, you know what I mean? And then you got Ruka Roro, defensive tackle out of Clemson. Then Roman Wilson, wide receiver out of Michigan, because you still don't have, by the way, even if you're like, hey, we don't need wide receivers, George. We don't have enough wide receivers in the room. If Keenan Allen gets injured at this point, there's nobody to back him up because Tyler Scott is going to be playing slot. So Colin Johnson on the practice squad, that's your backup just in case something happens. Like, it's ridiculous that you have to have a conversation about like there are no wide receivers on the roster at this point. So You got to have wide receivers. So Marvin Harrison, Roman Wilson. Then you got Brandon Dorless, another edge rusher. I went heavy on the edge. And then Mason McCormick, the guard out of South Dakota State, and 2025 first round, and Jacksonville second round. So, you know, it's wild, by the way. Like I look at it now and I'm like, man, I got a lot of edge rushers. God damn it. What I should have done is I should have had another defensive tackle in there, because you're not just replacing Justin Jones with Rukaroro. And you probably, pop in Gervon Dexter, but I would have wanted more depth. But somebody told me yesterday, like, don't pick that many. You know what I mean? You know, and yes, it does push it down the priority list. But to me, that's silly, because you only get, if you have the number one pick, you have an opportunity to get a generational talent. You have a generational talent potential right there. And we know the product on the field. We know that he's the best player in college. We know who he is, what he can do. We saw it every week at Ohio State. We know that he's the best player in college football, and it would be absolutely bonkers not to take him. And by the way, Allen signing pushes that down the priority list. Keenan Allen is only signed for 1 year. Are you serious that the Bears are going to want to give $25 million to a wide receiver? Let's call it 20 to 26 million to a wide receiver on the downside of his prime for 2 or 3 more years to keep him here for a longer period of time. Like, we're going to sit here and watch the window of decline, and we're going to pay 20 something million. Ryan Poles is going to pay 20 something million. No, I think I don't think that it pushes it down the priority list. I think that it is even more imperative at this point, and a testament to why we need somebody like that Keenan Allen is on the final year of his contract, and there is no way that we're paying this guy $25 million. That is a waste of payroll, no matter how you look at it. The downside of his prime, he's not going to get better. He might maintain for a while, but he's not going to get better. And then at that point, what happens in 2 or 3 years when he says something like Aaron Donald did, like, you know what, I'm done. I've done it 10 years. I'm out. That's all I'm saying. And you're right. There's a lot of there are a lot of holes left, but there's a lot of holes that got filled in free agency that we really haven't addressed the defensive side of the ball the way that I would have liked to. Like a lot more on the defensive tackle and edge positions. But as a matter of fact, there was a signing last night. I think there was a new Bears signing like just last night, I want to say, where it may slip through the radar. Let me see here. Like, I think I missed somebody that just kind of popped up out of nowhere. Oh yeah, Dante Pettis, who didn't play at all last year, is now back at wide receiver. So yeah, we did pick up Dante Pettis. So there is a body in that room now that's not Keenan Allen, DJ Moore, or Tyler Scott. So we actually do have, and then we have Ammon Ogbenaming. You know who the fuck I'm talking about. You know who I'm talking about. So yeah, it was Dante Pettis, and Dante Pettis again sat out all of last year. So yeah, at least now we have a fourth guy. Oh, Velus Jones Jr., son of a bitch. You know what? I completely forgot about. Hey, the Fumble Rooskies didn't forget about Velus Jones Jr., but I did. So you know what I mean? So we'll see, what this looks like. This is an interesting proposition. We don't know exactly what the Bears are going to do. We know that when it comes down to it, that these comparisons are very interesting. What do we learn here? We learned that Keenan is replacing Darnell Mooney. DeAndre Swift is replacing Khalil Mack. We learned that Coleman Shelton is replacing Lucas Patrick. Ryan Bates is replacing Cody Whitehair. Gerald Everett is replacing Mercedes Lewis. We still haven't settled the Justin versus Caleb debate. We won't settle that until we see what they actually do. And I do want to stress that the way is cleared in the moves that have been made for them to take Caleb Williams. Now, the risk for me, and I think I should be for a lot of other people too. Again, Keenan Allen's on a 1-year contract, and there's no way that we pay him $25 million a year to catch balls, right? I don't think that that's. I'm not the GM, so it's not my place to say, but it just feels to me that there's just no way. You're not better by taking Caleb Williams at this point. Now, you might financially be better, because again, it's going to cost you a lot of money for Justin Fields, unless Justin Fields has a real big sense of humility about his position in this league. And, the Bears can say, hey, look, what if we extended you? And look, by the way, guys, what would you think if Ryan Poles came out and said that we've re-signed Justin Fields and we're going to do this one more time? We're going to run this back, and we just signed Justin Fields to a 3-year deal for $30 million. So we're going to give him $30 million over the next 3 years to see what we have. And then the team has an option to terminate after the second year. What if we did that? You know what I mean? Because he's not getting the type of money in the open market or the interest in the open market. So so what would you think if they came out and they said they've negotiated like a 3-year, $30 million deal to supersede his rookie contract, and now we're going to see what happens over the next, say, 2 years or something. Like, you can fix this shit, right? You can fix it. You say, Justin, look, if you screw up, if you don't have a good year, that $25 million, whatever you think you're going to get on that 5th-year option, it evaporates, and you're a backup in the league for $3 million a year. So why don't you take your money now and let's just see what happens? And look, we give you 2 years, and if it doesn't work, you know what I mean? So, and EV Warrior says that the Bears wouldn't waste a pick for a 1-year rental. They will extend him. Well, it's a 4th-round pick. Like, you could actually pick that up in some trading. I'm not really, you know what I mean? I'm not really sure that's the case. I mean, I think that it is, but it can't be $25 million a year for another receiver, can it? I mean, it can, I guess, but I don't feel that. All right, so what do we got going on here? No one ever seen Caleb Williams throw one pass in the NFL, and he's already Hall of Fame. He'll earn his way. I mean, we'll see how he develops. No matter what, somebody's going to have him on their roster. There's a rule that many GMs follow when running backs hit 31, 32 years old. That is correct. There is. 4th-round picks are a crapshoot. There we go. Bear down. Michael H. says, the thing about Keenan is that he is good at finding spots in zones, and he avoids a lot of contact. And that's great. That's the most important thing that a veteran can teach some of these younger players. And that is so important why somebody like Marvin Harrison, who I think already understands that, but to learn the technique of somebody like Keenan Allen, a guy who can do that and get open. Here, the question is, if we just assume, just for a second here, that Justin Fields will be faster in his reads because he's going to be in a system that he's more comfortable with, just assuming, again, we're projecting at this point, but if he does what Shane Waldron, if he's used properly by Shane Waldron, then Keenan Allen getting open means that he's got somebody to throw to, just like DJ Moore, just like Gerald Everett, just like Cole Kmet. Like, they're creating routes and they're running pass schemes that will allow. And by the way, what do we see more from the Bears? Maybe a more West Coast type system where there's a lot more. I mean, dare I say it, screens, but a lot shorter passing game, because we're giving people the opportunity to get open and create plays down the field. We're giving DJ Moore the ball. We're giving Cole Kmet the ball. We're giving people the ball so that they can create in space, so that they're not just trying to catch the ball and run under it on bomb routes and shit like that. Like, I mean, that seems like it would be a little bit different. So if we did that, then this team is far and vastly different in 1 year. And I think that works towards Justin's talents. Extend Allen for 2 more years at $8 million per year, convert $15 million this year. Rice, I don't think there's okay. So, all right. So here's what I think. Here's what I think the issue is when you say something like that. Now, it doesn't mean that you can't do it, but whoops. All right. This Keenan Allen right here. So you're going to extend Keenan Allen, who's making $19 million a year. His dead cap space is $24 million, but his yearly amount is $19 million. In 2024, we're paying him $23 million. He's not going to take less money. You know what I mean? Like, he's not going to take far less money. He's going to want at least something in the range right there, especially if he has 1,200 yards again. If he doesn't have diminished skill set and he's not showing the wearing and tearing of age, which according to the statistics, he's not. So if that's the case, then it's going to cost us. We're not getting him for $8 million a year, or at least I don't think that we're going to get him for $8 million a year. I think that we're going to end up getting him for somewhere around 20 to 25 million. Reese, okay. I just don't think that they're. I mean, we're giving him $23 million. So, how does how does that fit into what we want to? I don't see it. But I want to be wrong. Now, let's go back over to salary cap space real quick. We'll look at what salary cap space is right now. $35 million. That's it. That's all that's left. We got to sign the free agent draft class. We got to sign the draft class, and then we got to have like 10 million for next year. So we're almost done. At best, there might be a splash when we sign like a Connor Williams, maybe, but I don't think that that's even in the cards anymore. I think now we're just kind of filling roster spots at this point. I wouldn't be surprised to see us pick up another kind of backup receiver. And then, of course, if we get a backup receiver that's still available, that kind of fits a need, if you will. Let's go to a position. Then now I'll never agree that moving on from Marvin Harrison Jr. and the opportunity that it represents right there is a good move. But these are the guys that are available still at wide receiver. We got Mike Williams, Hunter Renfrow, Allen Robinson, Odell Beckham, Michael Gallup, Tyler Boyd, Michael Thomas, Marquez Valdez-Spalding, DJ Chark, Jamal Agnew, Deontay Harvey, Paris Campbell, Mercole Hardman, Braxton Berrios, Jakeem Grant, Josh Reynolds. There are some players and there are some name players out here. Hey, we can get Chase Claypool. KJ Osborne, Donovan Peoples-Jones. There are a few people that are out here that are available that might represent a new opportunity for one more receiver to kind of jump in and do it. And OBJ for 4.8 million. His market value, according to his market value, 11 million is his range right now. So if nobody pays that, sure. But some of these guys that are in his range right now, with average salaries are at least 10 million. So I don't know. The important thing is that it's an interesting sort of scenario. And let's go look at edge. No, you know what? We need defensive tackles here. If we were to pop in with a few defensive tackles, there are some guys still available, but you're not seeing there's not a bunch of big names. There's Fletcher Cox from Philadelphia, but he's 33 years old. How much more does he have in the tank? Lawrence Guy is 33. Linval Joseph is 35. John Jenkins 34. Nick Williams 34. Some older players that are available in this, but I don't see it. I don't see how that helps in any way. So there you go, guys. That's it for the day. Thank you so much for tuning in. I appreciate each and every one of you. There we go. Fletcher Cox has retired, so we don't get that 34-year-old. But and by the way, should I point this out? Keenan Allen is 31. Fletcher Cox just retired at 33. I'm sorry, retired at 33. Like, how long until Keenan Allen retires, and will he be here through the end of it? And look, for the amount of money that he would want, you really have to look at this, and you really have to kind of figure out, like, is this guy going to take enough of a pay cut that it's going to be worth it? You know what I mean? And I don't think that he will. So it would be nice if he was re-signed. But it's not going to be necessary. So anyway, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. I appreciate each and every one of you. You take the time. If you haven't already, consider subscribing to the channel. I do this every day at 9:30 to maybe 10:30, and we just talk football. We talk Chicago Bears, and you may not like my opinion sometimes, but that's okay, because I don't like your opinion sometimes either, and we're in the same boat, except that I have the show. So if you guys are interested, certainly sign up, become a member of the channel. Helps me out tremendously. allows me to continue to do this type of content. I am looking to do it on Saturdays and Sundays now too. And what am I doing otherwise? You know what I mean? All I do, I have another channel, by the way, for you guys that don't know, that's devoted to cryptocurrency. So, I mean, what am I doing? I work on YouTube. You know what I mean? Like, so, and I'm passionate and I'm a big fan of Chicago football. So subscribe to the channel, sign up, do your thing. Appreciate each and every one of you. Thank you so much for being here. And, you know, I, by the way, one of the things that I like doing is I like having fun with outros and you know, silly stuff like that. So I'm gonna do intros and outros, and you might like the music, you might not like it. A friend of mine is a DJ, a musician. They were signed with Sony for a long time. They're not anymore, but you know, they make music for me and shit like that all the time. So if I get to listen to it, so do you. We'll talk to you again soon. Bear down. See you tomorrow.